Federal investigators say they have concerns, but have chosen not to punish Amazon after several of their employees were killed while on the clock in an Amazon warehouse last December. 6 people were killed when a tornado smashed through an Amazon fulfillment center in Edwardsville, Illinois, causing the partial collapse of the building.
Our next guest has been outspoken in her criticism of Amazon's cozy relationship with the federal government. Let's watch.
$400 million in tax subsidies. You know what we could use that for? We could use that for a new deal for CUNY. That's right. We could use that for transportation so that workers can get here without sleeping in their cars in this parking garage right here. That's $400 million of our tax dollars that Jeff Bezos owes us back, and together here we are demanding that they give us our goddamn money back.
Brittany Ramos DeBarros is a congressional candidate for New York's 11th District, organizing director of About Face, Veterans Against the War, and an Afghanistan veteran, and she joins us now in studio. Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
And we're sorry we made you watch yourself on television. It's painful whenever it happens to us.
It never gets less awkward. But
so tell us, about your organizing efforts here. Obviously, that Amazon, it was terrible. People actually died. Talk to us about what you're advocating for in terms of better workplace safety at Amazon and other workhouses.
Yes. Well, for anyone who doesn't know, the JFK 8 warehouse in Staten Island, where I live, which is part of the district where I'm running for Congress, is the first Amazon facility in America, anywhere, really, to unionize. And let me tell you about these workers. Whenever I went there just to say what's up or to show solidarity, drop off coffee, whatever I could do in a small way, they were often huddled around a small fire to keep warm in freezing temperatures. They were out there in scorching heat that most of us would pass out in if we were out there for too long. Month after month, they were out there with their tent organizing. And they demonstrate a kind of grit that we just don't see enough in organizing anywhere in the United States. It was incredibly inspiring for me to see and to continue to see. The second vote for the second warehouse is underway right now. But the first time I went to their press conference, I was supposed to say something. And by the time I got up to speak, I was ugly crying because I was listening to the stories of a daughter who lost her mother who said she loved her job and was a committed worker. She cared, she was invested, and she agreed to give COVID tests on behalf of Amazon and ended up dying because they didn't have the appropriate PPE. And because medical professionals should have been doing that job, especially early in the pandemic where we were still learning a lot. And in the aftermath of that, they were given a, sorry that happened, and that's pretty much it. We've had people die in the parking lot of our Staten Island facility. I listened to stories and testimony of workers saying that they were penalized mid-pandemic for taking a water break that was too long, when you have to walk 7 minutes to get across the facility to even get to a fountain of any kind, or to get to a break room. The conditions are just the things that you would think that you would hear out of a 1930s novel, that the labor movement has fought so hard, and yet we have so far to go. And so, I am outspoken. I feel like some people probably watch that video and are like, whoa, why are you yelling? But as far as I'm concerned, when you really understand what these workers are going through, getting paid poverty wages in a facility when Amazon has received over $400 million in state tax subsidies in New York alone. And part of the agreement for those subsidies was that they wouldn't violate labor protections, and they have.
That is appalling and absolutely so against those subsidies. If they want to headquarter, when they headquartered here, Amazon came to DC. I said they want to do that anyway because business lives here. Of course they're going to pick DC. You don't need to roll out the red carpet. Just let them pay for it as it should be paid. So the
counter narrative, of course,
absurd.
that people say, the argument that is made, and I'm sure that you've had to respond to, is without these subsidies, they would go someplace cheaper. It's expensive to build in New York. This is a job creation program. I know that when AOC was advocating against a plant moving years ago, she got a lot of pushback from people saying that she was, ending jobs. And it was before a lot of the enthusiasm around this newly resurging labor movement kind of offered some buffer for that. I wonder, do you end up having to make that case to folks who have heard, oh, well, these subsidies are what brought me this job? And how do you push back against that?
I will tell you that no one I have met, and I have probably talked to thousands of workers at our Amazon facilities in Staten Island alone, no one has said, but I'm grateful I have this job because tax subsidies. Mm-hmm. No one feels that way who is actually working there. They say, I wish I had job security because computers fire people. The turnover is some astronomical percentage every 6 months, because they just have computers firing people for nothing, basically. And that's not a good job, because you can't depend from 1 month to the next whether you're actually going to be able to pay your family. They're getting essentially what come down to poverty wages, hours cut if they dare speak out about those things, doxed pay every time they take a water break or just a break that is 1 minute too long. When they're working 18-hour days. The labor movement fought for 12-hour days to be a thing, and less, right? And you have sometimes people working 18-hour days, sleeping in their car, homeless, because they're getting paid so little despite working that amount that they can't afford to have a home in New York City. Literally sleeping in their cars in the parking garage and then going back to work and then being harassed because they needed a water break for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Injuries are up 15%. 2020 to 2021, that's by Amazon's own reporting. So I can only imagine how much more it is as a person in the Army who saw the ways that, bureaucracies are able to kind of say, oh no, you're actually fine when you're not. I can only imagine what the actual number is if their reported number is 15%. Think about that. 15% of Amazon workers is thousands and thousands and thousands of workers that are getting injured on the job that probably don't even have access to proper health care.
Yeah.
So you did mention that you visited the facility several times, and we saw you there giving those remarks with Chris Smalls, who's now renowned for his advocacy here. Also renowned for making some criticisms of the fact that many politicians didn't show up before now. And of course, most pointedly, he made some criticisms of AOC. Subsequently, both she and Bernie have shown up to some of these rallies. I wonder what you make of that, and whether or not you also feel that other politicians, perhaps also the politicians that are in this race with you, haven't been as invested in the labor movement on the ground as would be helpful in this moment.
Yeah, I think that is the question that we should be asking them repeatedly. I can't speak to, I think that every elected official, every candidate who thinks that they, should be able to serve the people of Staten Island and Brooklyn should be there constantly showing up for them, and they haven't been until all the cameras showed up, right? And that's not, I am so honored to be endorsed by Chris Smalls himself and several of the other organizers. Obviously not ALU, because ALU, is just getting started, and it wouldn't be appropriate for them to get directly involved in endorsements. But it's because I've been there for months, building a real relationship with them, and that we understand that Staten Island is poised to be an epicenter of groundbreaking working class organizing. That's what my campaign is about. That's what their campaign is about, and several others. And we're building together. And I think that they see that I'm real about that. And, I also am really proud of Chris Smalls for his leadership in saying, look, organizing and accountability is also about welcoming people back in. It's about second chances. That is a kind of leadership that we need in movement, because we're all we got. At the end of the day, we're up against people who have immense wealth and power, and I believe that we can win, but we need more working class people in positions of power in every sector, whether that's government, whether that's unions, right, whether that's movement and other organizations. But what that means is that we have to be willing to do the hard work of being in principled struggle with each other as we work through the contradictions of trying to navigate, running for office or being an elected official or being an organizer while everything sometimes feels like it's on fire around you all at the same time. And so, I was really moved by that show of leadership. I hope more organizers look at that and see what it looks like to kind of, issue accountability, but to add that accountability means welcoming back in, right? It means restoration, and it means repair, so that we can be powerful, because an organized working class is the most terrifying thing to the oligarchs that are controlling our government right now. And that's what we have to be building. And we have to be building that even when it's complicated and difficult sometimes.
Well, Brittany, thank you so much for joining us. So happy to have you here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And we'll be back with more Rising right after this.